it is not good for man to be alone. So he also says, we're going to create somebody suitable for him. So need for suitable companion. So what does this mean? A lot of the translations, when they're looking at this in Genesis 2:18, so God says, "I will make a helper suitable for him." That's the NIV. And quite a few translations will have something very similar: a helper suitable for him. And people would read that and they would say, "Oh, well, that means women are second class. That they're only the helpers to men. Men were the ones who were at the top, and then women are just there to help them out. So men are in charge of women." And no, that's not how you read this text. Because that word for helper in the Hebrew is used in many different contexts. In some contexts, of God himself. So unless you want to say God is inferior to the humanity that he's trying to help, then you can't say women is inferior to man here. It just does not make sense. So this is somebody to assist and be a companion of. Or if you will, somebody complementary. So I'll write this down. So you go assist, or help, or be complementary.
Yeah, KJV says meet, help meet for him.
Oh, okay.
So help has less connotation than helper. Help it can be from above or subordinate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're trying to say, well, woman is necessary for man, so it's not good for him to be alone. And if we really look at things like men don't live as long without a woman as they would with a woman. So married men live longer than unmarried men. And there's been different speculation. Sometimes it's just like more general physiological and just thinking, well, they are calmer with a spouse. And then there's other people who say, yeah, do you look at all the stupid thing men do? Like they need a woman to tell them, don't do this stuff. I would say both are true. I don't think maybe the latter is as contributory to men dying sooner. It would in certain cases.
Yeah.
It definitely would. There was one comic I was listening to where he said, well, if men have a certain activity and they have the gall to say, men only, no women allowed, and there aren't any women on the sidelines picketing going, let the women in, let the women in, odds are it's a very stupid male idea.
And no woman would want to do it.
Exactly. No, yeah. No, they probably think like, oh, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. No.
I agree.
Then again, I've also heard like different comics talk about it. It's like, my wife complained that I never take her ice fishing. Then I go like, that I never invited her to go ice fishing. And so I asked her, it's like, would you ever want to go? And she said, no, but I want to be invited.
Right.
But ice fishing is a good thing to do in order to get food in winter.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think the wife followed up on that and is like, I wouldn't want to go on the boat. If I stand up, it would tip over. Ice fishing. No, that doesn't happen during this.
Yeah.
Ice is like 2 feet thick. There's no boat.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So what God does is then he places man in Eden. Well, he places man in Eden, then he makes this comment and also talks about the forbidden fruit. But in Eden, God then brings all the different animals and he gets man to name them. Naming is also looking to, well, the essence of that individual. So that's some of the significance of this, is man is having dominion by naming the animals. Uh, do we know exactly what those names are? No, we need to know the original language of man. Some people have hypothesized, well, it must be Hebrew. However, Hebrew has changed very significantly, even over the course of the Bible's writing.
Right.
So I very much doubt it is Hebrew as we would understand it. But my guess would be, well, maybe it's related to how we understand and interact with animals. Maybe the chills we get thinking about, say, like a snake or a spider, maybe that is related to what Adam was looking at with those animals. That's a guess, don't know, but interesting thing to think about. Anyways, God is parading the animals in front of Adam, he is naming all of these. And the comment is, but for Adam no suitable helper was found. So the idea would be that, hey, all these animals are being brought forward to the man, but the man is recognizing, no, he needs somebody like him. He is not going to be joined to any of these creatures. He needs somebody like him. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and closed up the place with flesh. And there are a whole bunch of different serious and jokey answers to what's going on there. Like one comedian goes like, well, obviously that was the rib that we used to read minds, because when my wife asked me a question, I have no idea what she's talking about. But the word there isn't very specific to the word rib. It is more from the man's side. So it could be, yes, a rib, and it's not like we have, like men have different numbers of ribs. Like we have a very standard set. One side doesn't have one less than the other. Like I have heard some people say, oh yeah, we definitely have that. I'm going, no, we don't. Even with the first man, Adam, like even if it was a rib that God took a rib, that's not genetic. It wouldn't be passed down from, well, one generation to the next. Right. That would just be unique to Adam. But the word is more properly his side. So some people have hypothesized, well, maybe that was like going a little bit deeper and coming from his own heart, that God took a piece of the man's own heart. However, heart doesn't have the same connotation in English as it does in Hebrew. So for Hebrew, heart was the thinking organ. If you want the feeling organ, it wouldn't be heart like it is in English. It would actually be kidney. At which point you could say, well, maybe God took one of Adam's kidneys. He was the first kidney donor, and that created Eve, and she was very emotional afterwards, because that's the feeling part. In any case, we don't know too much. We don't know the absolute specifics, but it's coming from man's own flesh, Adam's own flesh, coming from his side, so it is something essential to him. And God builds a woman. So the word is build or construct. So it isn't like Adam, who was shaped from the dust, but woman is built. So if you call a woman, or if you say to a woman, oh wow, you look built, yeah, you're saying she is like Eve. Yeah. However, that's not what most people would mean if they actually say that, but it would be biblically accurate. Note to self. Okay. And yeah, just so we understand that man had absolutely no sort of help in constructing Eve, because if he was there and he's like, oh well, I'll take out my own rib, I'll start constructing a woman on my own rib, then she would be of him, he would be over her in terms of her creator. But he fell into a deep sleep. He had absolutely no way to participate in this. So it is God completely who is the creator of Eve. So yes, again, man not being Lord over women, not being better than women. They're absolutely different, but they're complementary. So when Eve was made and Adam woke up, verse 23 in Genesis chapter 2. The man said, now this is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. And it actually does work fairly well from Hebrew to English, because we have man, we have woman. In Hebrew, man is ish. So Adam is saying, taken out of ish, the man, and woman is isha. So she shall be called isha, for she was taken out of ish. So you're seeing that, yeah, well, they're related. They're different, but they're very much related. So you could say that, so taken from man. And then there's also something here that is a historical matter of precedence. So man created first. And then we also have here, if man was created first, God spoke to him first. So man is also teacher, or the man, Adam, is teacher of God's word to Eve, his wife. So this type of stuff, that does come up in the New Testament. And this is related more so to the pastoral office than anything else. Because when we find, say, talks of, well, how do you orchestrate the household? How do you orchestrate the church? Man is placed as the head, because this is a historical precedent where man was created first, and this was also, he is the head because in the historical precedent, he was the teacher to his wife. Does that mean that women can't teach their husband a thing or two about the faith? No, it doesn't. Women can absolutely do that. We find instances of stuff like that happening in the book of Acts. The issue, though, is if we're looking at actual defined vocations and households, it gets a little bit trickier, and we want a good believing household. So if we're seeing, well, if you have two different opinions in the household, who should take precedent? Well, man being the head of the household takes precedent. However, is obligated as the head of the household to treat the woman as more important than himself and decide in her favor over his own. Yes. So if we're looking at a biblical relationship, like some people would like to say, oh yeah, well, I get to tell my wife what to do. She has to listen to me, right, pastor? And then the pastor would go I don't think so here. What is the best for your wife? And then take it from there.